What's going on, friends and fam? Thank you so much for tuning in to Every Day's a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. Hey, guys, another great day, another great interview. Before we get into it, though, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Every Day's a Saturday. We got a couple more episodes, and then we're going to cap off season 1, which I should end somewhere around 50 interviews, which is pretty amazing considering I started in January. And then I want to say I did 25 episodes where it was just me kind of doing a solo episode, and tons of Wacky Wednesdays and Throwback Thursdays. So November 13th will be the last episode for season 1. And then season 2 will kick back up in January. And then we'll start January 9th. That's when I started season 1. So I thought it would be great to start season 2, same date. And then, we're not going to stop things completely. I'll still be doing Wacky Wednesdays and Conspiracy Fridays. So not going to go away completely. It's just every day is a Saturday. We're going to do a couple new things to the intro and change up a couple little things. And then we're going to start fresh off in January for season 2. But let's go ahead and get into my next guest. My next guest served his country proud for 20 years in the United States Coast Guard, retiring September 1st, 2022. He was born in Portland, Maine, and his father was in the Army, which had him move around quite a bit as a kid. Him and his brother both joined the Coast Guard. He decided to make a career of it while his brother did 4 years, then got out and became a police officer. Let's meet my next guest, Lance Buchanan.
What's going on, Brian?
What's up, Lance? Hey, man, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me.
Hey, man, absolutely. You know what? Man, I think you're about episode 48, and I finally got my first Coast Guard guest. And so I'm excited, bro, because for one, not a lot of people usually say, when they went in the Marines, that they looked elsewhere. A lot of people, they're like, I went straight for the Marines, Now, for me, I actually was looking around, and I really wanted to go Coast Guard. But, because me getting out of class and taking the ASVAB, I didn't score very well. They were like, nah, you're going to have to retake that ASVAB. You want to get in the Coast Guard. And I was like, nah, man, I don't want to do that. So I'll just go eat crayons with my buddies over in the Marines. But hey, brother, let's go ahead and get to know Lance, man. I mean, there's a lot to you, bro. Like, you grew up in Maine, which is another intriguing thing, and then you moved around quite a bit with your dad since he was in the Army, and did 20 years of Coast Guard. Man, you got a whole bunch of stories. Let's hear all about yourself.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. First off, congratulations on almost hitting 50, man. That's a heck of a milestone, dude. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate letting me be part of this. 48, man, saving the best for last. I like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the other vets out there, man. I love every branch. Just because we're a little bit higher doesn't mean we're better. I think we are, but that's just us.
I think every branch thinks that.
That's right. Everybody
thinks
that. Yeah. Overall, though, man, like it's awesome to be here. My journey, my story, I'm sure is a lot like some of the other vets out there. But I started in Maine, like you said, when I was born. My father was a flight medic in the Army, so he had that medical background. He got out of the military, and that's where we settled down in Maine. He became a paramedic firefighter out there, and then got called to the mission field to kind of take his medical expertise out there in the field. So we moved to the Bahamas, small little island in Rum Cay. It's 300 people lived on the island at the time, no electricity. I mean, it was desolate, to say the least. We got supplies sent in through mailboat, but we built a church. We helped medical, built a clinic, all that stuff. And that's when I got the taste for helping people. That's where I kind of got it in my blood right there. We moved back to the States after a couple of years there. We moved into North Carolina, South Carolina border called Fort Mill, right by Charlotte. Did some, normal life there. Went back to school, started doing normal stuff until about, 5 years later, my dad got called again to the mission field, and we moved down to Belize, Central America.
Wow.
Which was interesting, having a life that you're getting comfortable with in the States and all of a sudden moving with your family to another completely different country. We lived on a houseboat, and we, moved down there, lived there for 3 years. built clinics, did a lot of medical work, a bunch of hurricanes that went through. I helped a lot of the local missionaries with building homes for people and really serving people as much as we possibly could. But when I turned 18, I was starting to question what I'm going to do with my life. It's time for me to be a man, me to get out there and do my thing. So my father obviously mentioned pushing me towards the military just because it was going to be a good start to coming back to the States. I had been away from it. I didn't have credit. I didn't have an establishment yet. So, him kind of pushing me into the military was a good step for me to come into, maybe do 4 years, see if I liked it or not, really get myself established, and then see what I wanted to do from there. Talked my brother into it. He's a year older. So we came back to the States with my dad. He took us to a recruiter. We went to the Coast Guard recruiter, who was the closest one. And when they started showing us the boats that we'll be driving and all the cool stuff we could be doing, we were hooked. I mean, I was all about it. So me and my brother actually signed up and joined together, went to boot camp together.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, did they give you guys any problems with that at boot camp?
The entire time. So me and my brother can be a bit of cut-ups. So we got in trouble quite a bit. And then our last names are Buchanan both. So whenever they'd yell us out, Buchanan, get out here, we'd both show up, and then we both have to do push-ups and both have to do whatever. Shit. It was the worst.
That's great.
But it was a good time. I mean, we went through it. It was really cool to go through that with my brother.
Yeah, right.
So we kind of had a little competition there, right? Who's going to do better? Who's going to, advance quicker?
And that's you got to say that's a pretty unique experience. I mean, you don't hear of that often, man. I mean, brothers going in together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny. You look at old movies like Saving Private Ryan, right? You got the guys who go out to war and the brothers pass, and you're like sitting there, oh my goodness, we can't do that. So that's in the back of your mind, like, oh my gosh, we do something together, we both in harm's way. However, just the camaraderie of what that is, nothing brings you closer than men serving in the military and women serving in the military together, let alone with a family member. It's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
So it was really, really cool, really great experience. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that's why me and my brother are so close. He ended up getting out of the Coast Guard, did 4 years, wasn't really for him, but loved the law enforcement side of it. So he became a cop, and he's a police officer up in Howard County, Maryland.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I did not get out. I loved it. I originally started in New Smyrna Beach, which was a small Coast Guard station down there, mainly for search and rescue and, local law enforcement for safety and stuff like that. Did that for 4 years. And the Coast Guard is a little different than the other, branches of the military, where we are overseas. The Coast Guard's been in every, war or conflict there's been. We're there for, all types of supporting and security reasons and all that stuff. So for the Coast Guard to go overseas, it's a volunteer basis. Wow. They have the boats over there. They have the manpower, but what they do is they give you guys a priority one leaving there. So it kind of incentivizes Coast Guard guys from saying, I'll go over there, do a tour for a year, and then have an incentive of coming back to the States and kind of picking where I want to go. So me being a single guy, I thought that sounded good. And I'd be able to serve my country where I needed me and come back and pick a pretty cool spot to go. So I did it. I went overseas. I ended up going to Bahrain, doing a tour there. Just interesting place. Got to meet a bunch of the different international, military branches, the British, Australian guys. Worked with the in Kuwait. Worked with a lot of the guys, the Marines and the Army guys, and had a lot of fun with them.
Were you at were you at in Kuwait? Were you Doha or something like that? Or
yes, we pulled into a bunch of different spots. There was Al Jazeera. There's a bunch of different areas that we'd pull into and do support, or they'd have to go to Kuwait City and resupply, restock everything.
Yeah, because what time frame were you over there?
I was over there from 06 to 08.
Okay, so we definitely missed. I was over there in 2003, but a lot of what you're saying is like, it definitely resonates with me.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, to think going from the States, going over there and seeing what you're doing there, right? And of course, you're military, so you got military around you. You got that little bit of comfort with yourself. But man, on the Coast Guard's different because you pull into the base and you have to go to Kuwait City just to get restock your stores. So we would have to gun up, load up, drive through Kuwait City, and then come back just to get groceries.
Right.
That's a pretty interesting experience.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. But it was pretty neat, man. Like I said, I got to work with a bunch of the Australian guys, the British guys, a bunch of our American guys out there, just having a great time, doing what we could. You know, we had some interesting interactions, but for the most part, it was good to a degree. You know, I was supposed to do 1 year, and the guy that was supposed to come out and relieve another guy that I was with got into a pretty bad car accident and couldn't make it out. And since it's that volunteer basis, it's a 1-for-1 switch off. They were going to make this other guy stay for another tour, or at least half a tour, while they were trying to replace him. And he had just had a kid. So me being single, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make me go home and him stay here when he just had a kid.
Right. Yeah.
So I stayed, did an extra tour. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a feeling he would do the same thing for me, man. I mean, that's what military does. You know, we take care of each other. So I did that,
or
man.
buddy fuck, you know, or you get buddy fucked. It's either way.
Yeah, it's the different ends of the spectrum, isn't it?
There's either one way or the polar opposit, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. I got your back or I'll stab you in the back, whichever one you
want.
Right,
yeah, dude, exactly.
So it was really cool to be part of that. I got to stay, help out. I did another tour over there, and then got priority one. They sent me, I got to pick where I wanted to go. And, man, Coast Guard Miami Beach was and is the busiest unit in the Coast Guard. I mean, they do
imagine.
God, everything you can imagine that the Coast Guard does, besides ice breaking, obviously, unless you consider what you put in your whiskey glass. Everything you can imagine. Like we were out there doing law enforcement, drug interdiction, migrant operations, giant search and rescue cases. I mean, escorting cruise ships and worked with the DEA and all these other different, 3-letter names, and doing all this really cool bad boys type stuff. Down in Miami. That was
always an intriguing part to me of being in the Coast Guard is that kind of stuff, bro. Like the shore, busting, boats with drug dealers and stuff like that, dude. And I imagine Miami, bro, because that's a hot spot in general. And not only that, but the weather itself stays generally, nice. So a lot of people go there and it just is always busy, right? I mean,
it's gorgeous.
One way or another.
You got to think, man, with that many people down there and that beautiful of weather and that much money that Miami has down there, the boats that are down there are just ridiculous. So you got, rich guys with boats that don't know how to drive boats that are just constantly running fast and getting in wrecks, and we're having to go out there and save them. Or the scenery, obviously you got really good scenery down there. It's Miami Beach. Right. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's so much down there. The diversity of what the problems are down there are huge. I mean, it's just the unknown, right? We would go on a weekend patrol, and you're out there and you get called for a boat that hits a rock and 2 people get thrown in the water, and you got to take them out of the water. And then right after that, you got to go chase down a drug boat who's bringing in, kilos of cocaine. And then the next day you're going and stopping a boat that's got 37 migrants on it. It's just one thing after another. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, awesome. You definitely stay busy.
Oh yeah. And that's what I wanted. Me leaving overseas and coming back. I wanted action. I wanted busyness. That's the whole reason I joined, was not to, be comfortable and be put back, but was to actually get out there and do my part. So Miami was by far my favorite tour. It was just ups and downs, but it was awesome. That's also where I met my wife. My wife, Beverly, she was actually in the Coast Guard for a little bit. She got out after a couple of years, and then we ended up starting dating. But I met her. She's got a daughter, my stepdaughter, Marley. And then we had our own kid, Lincoln. He's now 7. So we had a great time. Miami had a lot of good for me. Leaving there was sad, but I got to leave Miami and got to do a couple picks. And I love the small boat life of the Coast Guard. Coast Guard's really got 2 main reasons you can do, or main purposes of it. They have the big cutter life, which are our big boats. Navy will laugh at us and say those aren't big, but they're okay. We don't have as many people on there, but that's good for us. So the bigger boats, a lot of guys love doing that because they're out there for weeks and months at a time, and they're traveling a lot more and they're doing all those things. But I love the small boat life. I love being, me being an E5 or an E6, being in charge of my own crew, taking my guys out there and just being the guy that's in charge, right? Like if I'm stopping a drug boat or if I'm doing a search and rescue case, I'm the reason, that's happening. I'm out there with my crew and we're making sure it's happening.
Now, being
awesome.
on a small boat, bro, you got to have some sea legs there a little bit, man. I mean, you're definitely feeling on those big ass Navy ships that are like cities, and you get lost on them, on the smaller ships, man. I can imagine how much you feel how rough the seas can get out there. I don't know if it is out there, out the Miami side, but I know.
Oh yeah.
Out here it gets pretty rough.
Oh yeah. So Miami's got, don't get me wrong. The West Coast has got the big ones though. West Coast has got the big waves. I mean, there's a big surf school in Astoria, Oregon that they do the surf training there. And I got to go to that for a while. And it's, you're hitting 20-foot waves, getting flipped over in a boat and trying to flip it back over while you're trying to save somebody. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Talk about piss your pants, right? Like you look when you look straight up and you see a wall
piss
of water.
Your pants or shit your pants.
Yeah. Either way, it's all mixed with the water. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did. Florida had a lot. You got all the hurricanes coming through, so you're always doing stuff with that. When Katrina hit, a bunch of us went over to Katrina to New Orleans and helped with that. So they kind of just threw us on small boats with axes and chainsaws and said, "Go find people."
Wow.
So that was interesting, right?
No
just crazy. Just the experiences I've had have been amazing. I've got to do some really, really cool stuff. I've been privileged to be part of some great crews that saved, I believe, quite a bit of lives, which is the goal of the Coast Guard, fully. And it was awesome. I mean, just the fact that we're out there supporting other branches. I mean, the Navy SEAL guys would come buzz our boat sometime at night. Wouldn't even know their boat's there until a wake moves your boat around and they start laughing at you.
Yeah.
I'm just good guys,
Yeah.
Yeah. So had a great time. Went to Charleston, South Carolina after Miami. Just north of that was Georgetown, which is the small Coast Guard station. Again, was in charge of running boats, search and rescue, law enforcement. And we did a lot of different security patrols. We'd go up and down the board, where the East Coast. We'd do Jacksonville, go help them out with security for Super Bowls and different events they had, or a bunch of different stuff. It was just all wrapped in. And then I got to do my Twilight tour, which was what I just finished up. There's a bunch of different picks on my dream sheet I could have gone to. And I was really kind of wanting to give back as much as I could since I had learned so much. So I chose to go to the Coast Guard Training Center here in Yorktown, Virginia. Never been to a training center, never did know what it was going to be like, but I figured, hey, man, I've learned a lot. The Coast Guard's taught me so much. Maybe I can give back to some of the new guys coming in. So my command recommended me, and I got picked to come out here and became an underway instructor on the boats and just teaching, all the young and up and coming guys how to drive boats properly, how to, search for people, how to do all the cool stuff. Got extended for a year so I could finish out my retirement here, and retired in September of 2022.
Wow, man. That's outstanding.
Pretty crazy career.
Yeah, no kidding. So I got to hear a little bit more about some of these crazy stories, man. I mean, do you have any particular ones that like just always resonate in your head and you're like, damn, man, that one was pretty crazy?
Yeah, man. I mean, one of the ones that I always go back to when I was my first unit, actually, surprisingly, it's always those ones that always, hit you hard. It's I was on watch. So we have a communications watch room where we just listen to the radio overnight, making sure, and this is back in 2003. So it's all changed since now. We got a lot of automated stuff, but before it was just on us. So we would stay up late at night listening to the radio and waiting for something to happen. And we had a guy actually come in to the room banging on the door, and I opened the door and he's all bloody and ripped up with clothes. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, our boat hit the jetties. It's on the rocks. My buddy's on there. He's paralyzed. We need help. So we get the crew together. We get out there. It's middle of the night. There's probably a good, 4 or 5 foot seas. And at night, that's kind of tough trying to get up to the rocks. We couldn't actually get up to it because it would obviously damage our boat and could possibly cause problems there. So I had to jump in the water, swim out to the rocks, climb up there. The guy was paralyzed, hit his back and was stuck in the boat. Had to call the helo. Helo sent a guy down. We strapped him in and sent him up and took him to the hospital. And then I had to jump back in the boat, get back on our boat, and we head back to base. So it was awesome. It was just one of those really cool experiences. 3 days later, we get a call about a boat adrift with someone in it. And it was the same guy. He had gotten out of the hospital, walked out there during high tide, pushed his boat off and tried to start it, and it wouldn't start, and he got stuck, and we had to go save him again.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
damn.
that was a pretty big one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Miami was cool. I mean, like I said, you got there's times where we'd be chasing boats down. We got CBP or ICE calling us up, telling us about, a boat that's coming in, and they're not stopping. So we'd get to go out there and kind of do our tactics and stop them, either shoot their engines out or, use whatever we could to get them to stop, which was awesome. Had a guy jump off a cruise ship in Miami one time in about 8-foot seas in the middle of the night. He thought he was close enough to shore, but he wasn't. So we had to search.
Right. It's definitely deceiving.
Crazy, right? So you got all these things that happen, man. I mean, just the water is completely different than the land. You get the tunnel vision of stuff. It's really cool about this story because my wife was actually working with me at the time. She wasn't my wife at the time, but we worked together on the same boat crew. So we went out for this case, and the guy had jumped in the water. We had everyone looking for him. It's really hard to find a person, especially at night, in 8-foot any seas, but 8-foot waves. It's going to be almost impossible. Luckily, we stuck to the training and did our calculations, and we were looking in this area. And my wife at the time just yelled, "Hey, kill the engine! I hear somebody." And we're thinking, "Yeah, right." So we kill the engine real quick, and sure enough, we hear this guy yelling. She points the spotlight, and it shines off his head. And we found him and pulled him on board, and he was about that close from, hypothermia and almost dying. And we actually saved him, and she got out of the Coast Guard a couple weeks later. So that was like a really cool experience because me and her got to do that together.
Yeah, no kidding. My gosh.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, man. Now in Miami, you hear a lot of issues with our borders and stuff like that. Is there a lot of, migrants and stuff that definitely try to come in through, the Miami waters and all that?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen videos of it where they come in some crazy boats too. And it seems like there's a lot of abandoned boats on the shores and stuff like that. So it sounds like some of them do land, but is it pretty crazy with them trying to get it through?
Yeah, man, they come over not just on boats. I mean, I've seen trucks, I've seen cars that have been turned into boats, makeshift rafts they've made. The Cuban side of it was bad for a while with everything going on. And there was almost like a wet foot, dry foot type of scenario where if they landed on American soil, we're there to help them out. Right. But if not, then we got to send them back because that's just what it is. So I remember having a guy, I had personally I had stopped him at least 4 or 5 times. And he said he had done it 16 times. And on the 17th time, we got a call about some guys landing on an island right off of the coast there. And we got there, it was part of our land. So they made it, and it was him. So I walked up to him and shook his hand and said, "Man, you made it 17 tries. Way to go." But yeah, I mean, you deal with that quite a bit. It was going on a lot. A lot of nights we're going out there and just trying to get them, they're people. So you're trying to make sure they're safe, but you're trying to do the right thing and make sure they're taken care of. And, some of it's sad because you gotta stop them from coming to the States, but then you also got to realize there's the right way to do it. So.
Now, are a lot of them in bad shape when you guys come across them? I mean, because some of them probably been out there for a minute, and a lot of times they start running out of water, and I imagine they can't bring a lot of stuff with them. So,
no, what they have with them is it. I mean, it's bare minimum. We've had certain instances where people almost threw babies at us when they were on their boat, trying to get the baby onto our boat. It's sad when you see a lot of this stuff, and you feel for them because of what they got to go through just to get here. But our job was there to protect them as much as we could, with also protecting us. Right. That's our goal. And it was like you said, it was tough. You deal with a lot of just people, I can't hate to say it, but we found a lot of dead bodies in the water, a lot of dead people that just didn't make it because of
Right.
the treachery that it was.
No, I imagine, man. I mean, it's, you know, the ocean is it's unpredictable,
Yeah,
and the climate and the all that stuff, and then you get those storms that just pick up, and the wave swells become so huge that you can't even fathom it. I mean, it's so I
absolutely.
mean, it's crazy to see that a lot of these people make it, or come just short of making it, but it is a crazy situation, and how dire they are to get out of where they're at to come somewhere else.
Right. And I mean, think about that, how that pulls on your heartstrings, right? You're stopping a family from who's, a couple miles away from freedom, basically. And it's tough. I mean, you're doing your job, you're doing what is required for the country and what's right, but it also pulls your heartstrings.
Right. And I mean, that's kind of why I feel like they definitely keep us young when we go in, and we don't have families and stuff like that. So, because when you definitely start having kids
Oh,
and a family, bro, you start to
changes
reflect
everything.
and you think,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it definitely changes how you look and how you feel,
Yeah.
So, um, it's, it, it's definitely a different feeling when you're a single person and you don't have kids, but and even sometimes when you don't, just if you had siblings and you grew up with that, kids always got the string of my heart, dude. And then usually the elderly folks and stuff like that. A lot of times the people that just can't really fend for themselves. But it's just crazy. I couldn't think as a parent, and I guess because I've never had to live this life where
Yeah.
I've been in such a bad situation that I'm willing to risk the kid's life and everything and put them a little infant,
Yeah.
and go through some rough waters.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how some of us Americans are with our babies.
Right.
Could you imagine what some of these other countries have to go through to just, flee and get out where they're from, and it's a crazy situation, but we have to protect ourselves here too. Because the matter of the fact is, not everybody that comes over here is nice,
That's right.
and wants to play nice,
Yep.
so, or has great intentions,
Yeah.
and that's what ruins it for a lot of great people because, America is definitely founded on a lot of settlers and people that have came from a lot of different countries, but a lot of those people came here and wanted to build America
Yep.
and make America, and instead of take from it, so that's kind of where we're starting to go now. People are starting to want to take versus give, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of changing that dynamic.
Yeah. The world's definitely shifting, I think, to more of a what can it do for me instead of what can I do for it.
Correct. Yeah.
And we're really getting away from that, and that's sad.
Right, because
Um,
that's not how we got so far with
right.
everything, right? I mean, everything wasn't handed to us. Everything wasn't at a click of a button.
Yep.
There was people literally over there churning everything. Now what takes some people just a click. You know,
And it's true what you say, like you're talking about, with bringing up kids and stuff. Like, I mean, the Coast Guard's job is to go out there and do search and rescue is our main focus, right? I mean, you got
humanity efforts. Yeah,
yeah, just as much as possible. So whether
right.
it's with Katrina or whether it's with just somebody going out there as a pleasure craft, trying to have a good time with their family and something happening. I mean, I can't tell you after did have my kids being out there and having to go, pull a kid out of the water that might not have made it, man. It was one of the toughest things I've had to do. Yeah.
Yeah, man, because it is a different thing when you walk a mile in someone's shoe, or you just get that feeling. It's different.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to children. Because when you're sitting there pulling out a kid and you have a kid at that same age, you're just thinking, "Oh my gosh, man,
Yeah.
I couldn't
You can't
couldn't
help but relate.
imagine as a parent
Yeah.
what this parent's going through." Because now you're not just thinking about the kid. You're thinking about, wow, the parents, everything, the
Yeah.
kind of all the thoughts that come with it. When you're like a single person and you don't have kids, you're more worried about like, oh, this kid. You're not thinking about all the like, wow, how bad is the parents hurt right
Yeah.
now and everything else.
It's crazy. And being, what we did is we would have to be the ones that go up there and tell them, look, we're searching, we're looking as much as we can, we're doing everything we can. And sometimes you just don't find them, and that's heartbreaking. And that's probably some of the hardest stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't compare myself to doctors, nothing like that, but just having
no.
to deliver that news is horrible.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine, dude. I mean, and so, now with a lot of this stuff, and when you retired, did you go through a lot, are you going through like PTSD stuff, are you not really, have you not really got to that part in your life?
No. So I definitely went through the VA stuff properly. I luckily had a friend of mine who retired a couple years previously and helped me go through the VA the proper way, make sure I'm getting everything documented, make sure I'm doing the right stuff. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have dreams about it. I think about, past cases I've had. I've woken up in some sweats thinking about some things I've had. It's tough for me to be around large crowds, especially after going overseas. I think most military guys know this. Like, we get that innate sense of keeping my back to the door or to the wall at all times so I can see my exits. That innate sense of, hey, I might be at Busch Gardens having a great time with my family, but the entire time, all I'm doing is looking at threats. And it's something that it's in us now. Like, we can't change that. And a lot of the guys that I've talked to, I mean, a lot of these military vets that I talk with all the time, a bunch of my friends, every different branch, I'm like, why haven't you sought out some help for this? Why haven't you talked to somebody? Oh, I don't like the persona of it saying my head's not right. Yep. Your head's not right. You were in the military, man. You saw and did and were part of things that no one else was, and you need to be able to talk about that.
And it's okay. Right.
100%.
And that's kind of why we do these podcasts, is to bring these conversations up, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yep.
Because it's got to be talked about, bro, and don't feel ashamed. The young me was very, hard-headed.
Yeah.
When I got out, nah, man, there ain't nothing wrong with me. Fuck that. Everybody else is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, and then you allow so much time to go by living that kind of mentality, bro, and you destroy relationships, and you look back and like, gosh, damn, if I could have unfucked myself a while back, I probably wouldn't have had so many bad relationships, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Or, I mean, the sooner you could kind of start to feel like, because everything that you just said, bro, I go through it too. You know what I mean? And it's okay for us to talk about that. And it's okay that you have that, it's the being aware of it is the most important part of it. And knowing that, there is something there.
Yeah. And it's the outlook that we have. I mean, we get into this comfortability that, we're a strong military person, right? Man or woman, we served our country. We're strong. We have to be a certain way. And when we're in, 100%, dude, we do.
Sure.
I mean,
yep.
Every branch, you gotta suck it up.
You have to have it.
Yes. This isn't a job that, if your boss is mean to you, you can run off and say, well, I quit, or I don't want to do this anymore. No, man, you're in it. So having that mindset of, hey, look, man, like, you're going to go through the crap, and when you're done, you got to talk about it. And that's why you got all, like, podcasts like this, and just going and talking to vets, man. I mean, I go to a bunch of friends that I know. My job now, I'm able to walk around and talk to people all day. And man, when I meet a vet, dude, I'll talk 20 minutes with them just about. I've made friends that way, just meeting these guys, talking to them, getting to know them a little bit, and they all go through it. And we get into this mindset of, hey, we're strong. We don't need help, but we do. And it might not be the help that, we have to sit there and cry in front of you, but our help is, hey, man, we went through it. This is what it is. Just be there with me. You're on my side. That's it.
Yeah. Let's just talk about some of these things, and in part about important part of talking about it too is it helps educate our loved ones as well. Because our loved ones sometimes don't understand, why don't we like to go to the family functions, or why don't we like to, why is everything short, like fucking 2-hour deal, like, hey, we're leaving at this time, you know what I mean? Like, babe, like, I'm going, but let's just leave by this time, and so that way they could kind of understand because it took a while for even, my wife to kind of understand it, but she took the time to kind of understand it. So that's why it started working out, and she started realizing, hey, when we go to restaurants, I know kind of where he needs to sit, how he needs to sit, so she already's like, are you good, honey, here? And, and instead of it kind of being a combative thing or any type like that, it's now she's understanding, and it's easier to work with stuff. And when you have PTSD, you get triggered by things easily. So your 0 to 60 is there. You know what I mean? You can get fucking pissed really quick about something, but having someone that helps not trigger that, and you're still going to have those moments, because that's just, it's there, like I said, being aware of it. And then that's when you can start minimizing it, is when you start being aware of it. But if you have someone on the other side who constantly is triggering that, man, it's really going to enable your PTSD and bring it out in the worst way.
100%, man. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I always relate it to being a father, right? Your father in the military, you're structured so much where, and I know Marines are a whole lot more than this. Coast Guard work, where, not as military as the Marines or the Army, but man, you guys are so structured in this, do this job. There's no questions about it. I'm doing it. This is what it is. So now we're a father, and we're telling our kids to do that, and they're not responding like we did. Now what? Now that's triggering us.
Right. Exactly, bro. Yep. Exactly. 100%, man. Because everything for us was life or death. So it's like, you tell your kid, well, if you don't do it, that could be death. It's like, hold up, because that was the younger me, bro. That was the younger dad in me. I mean, I put my kids through a little bit of some mini boot camps from time to time, I mean, but now I reflect back, and I'm like, man, damn, they didn't go through that, they didn't go through that training. And here I am having that expectations from them because it's just instilled in me, and mine was different, but it was, I'm always trying to relate it to my day now, now.
And it's funny too, because like the job that I'm in now, I mean, I work with a lot of younger guys. I work with a lot of guys who are, we're contractors almost. We're out there working for ourselves, so we don't have that structure. And I'm starting to realize in the corporate world and the other jobs, man, they need structure. That the military. That's why I think so many companies out there are so military friendly and are all about hiring, retired military, ex-military, because that structure that we bring to anything we do. I mean, I don't care if you're a trash guy or you're a McDonald's worker, like you're bringing some structure with you that is just not seen in the workplace as much as it should be. And it's really cool to see.
Especially nowadays, man. Yeah. I mean, it's getting even more tough, because we're getting to that level of, like you said, bro, what are you going to give me?
Yeah.
What are you going to give me? And there's, I mean, dude, check it out. Like when I got out of the Marines, I went into aerospace. I worked at Northrop Grumman 15 years before I went out 100% unemployable and stuff like that. But while I was there, bro, you'd have these guys come in right off the street or whatever, come in and asking for raises almost off rip. And I'm sitting here like, damn, man, I've been here for 3 years. I haven't even started asking for a raise yet, but I was like, maybe I should, what I mean? Right? And then, it's just different though, when you come from a world of structure, very much structure, everything is super structure. And then, time is very much, 15 minutes prior, if you're not 15 minutes prior, you're late, in that world. And stuff. So those are the type of things that was just drilled into us. And, for me, I am, let's see, like 20 years removed now from it, but I still have a lot of the Marine Corps instilled in me, because they just drilled it into me. It became repetition for me. It became muscle memory. And, so does everybody translate? No, but you know what? If you've gone through 4 years or longer, I mean, especially if you've gone through longer, it's definitely going to be harder to break some of your ways, man. 20 years, bro, you're just, you're theirs. You know what I mean? You're 100%. 20 years is a long time to give to someone.
Right. And it's funny that the thing that I've noticed about just being out, and even starting to see the guys that are still in. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the military is changing itself as well. It's not the same military it was 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago.
Right.
But it's, to me, it's the difference between being uncomfortable and being comfortable. Military, we get very used to being uncomfortable. We're constantly moving. We're constantly having to change where we're going, constantly having to change what our job is. It might be one job here, but the next place it's something completely different, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And the world now, I mean, you got all these guys that are out there that say they want to be successful. They say they're hungry for being, the best they can be, and they're not willing to get uncomfortable. And I think that's what a big problem is right now, is everyone is so comfortable. It's like the guy who's I'm making $40,000 a year. I'm comfortable with that. You could do so much more, but all you got to do is change little habits of your life, man. Just do small things that'll make you a better person. And that's huge.
We're all into instant gratification, you know,
yeah.
And then, once we get that instant gratification, we get bored of that gratification and we want more,
Yep.
And that's the trouble we're running ourselves into,
100%.
Where people are getting to that level of expectations are super high. It's like, gosh damn, when you turn 18, you need a Mercedes Benz and, I mean, like all this stuff, these kids, they need $1,500, $2,000 phones, we were lucky to have a pager back in my day, dude, but like a $1,500 phone, my mom we could have never even afforded that, but like the expectations from the generations are, well, everybody else got it, and so we got that expectation that everybody needs it. Everybody has it. We all got to have it, And
now what does that look like if we don't let them have it? Right now, we look like the ones that are holding them back from everybody else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it crazy how it starts to work that way?
Ridiculous.
When when doing the right thing, at least in your head, starts to become the bad thing, it's like, oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
The world's definitely changing, right? I mean, I got a daughter who's in college, and I got a little dude who's 6. So I've got, and I got a whole bunch in between.
Yeah.
But, boy, I could just tell you to see the difference in like how they're all just their mindset and the way the world is getting into them now. It's just crazy.
Yeah, my 7-year-old's my tech support, man. If I have a problem with my phone, I give my phone to my 7-year-old and he takes care of it for me.
It's crazy how tech savvy. That's one thing with the generations below us, is they're very tech savvy.
Yeah.
I think our generation was more of a hands-on type of generation and building and stuff. Now this one's more of a touch generation, but you see like the reels and stuff are very popular, and the reels are like really quick tidbits, man. So and I even know, just being a podcaster, how much the view time that we get, people watch for a couple minutes, they're gone, you know what I mean? On to the next. They may come back and see again. But our attention span is very captured in a very small instruments now. Like it's kind of crazy to me,
And it's funny because my brother, being up in a cop up there, we grew up the same time. Obviously we had a little different background living in these third world countries and these other spots. So we got to really, appreciate what America does have and what we have here. But we're instilling that in our kids. And we noticed that most of the pictures we're posting of, me and my son and him and his son is us out doing hikes and us out walking around and camping, or us out there riding bikes and doing the things we did as kids. And then all the other kids are out there posting pictures of them on the video games, or them doing a podcast, or them doing a YouTube, or whatever those are. And that's their heroes now. And I love the fact that me and my brother have the same mindset. It's like, look, we're going to raise our kids to be those outdoor, not stuck behind a computer desk, not stuck in the house all the time. Like, you got to explore, man. You got to get uncomfortable, and you got to go outside when it's cold, and you got to have fun, and you got to go outside when it's raining and kick a football around and get wet and come back and get warm up and have a good time.
You know, bro, you really make a really good point with the getting uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
That just, getting uncomfortable helps a lot of things. For one, it brings you down to a level of understanding and appreciation
Yeah.
because you were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the most people that are the most appreciative and the ones that probably don't complain about as much and appreciate life are the ones that have been living have lived an uncomfortable part of their life
Yep.
and got through it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And don't
Yeah.
want to ever feel that uncomfortable, or they don't want their families to feel
Well,
that
yeah.
uncomfortable.
And I
right?
found that if you, and I'm sure you do, but if you ever read these books or you watch other podcasts about, success or guys trying to be better, I've read books like Atomic Habits and The Power of One More and stuff like that. Like, you read these books, and to be uncomfortable is what makes you successful. Kobe Bryant, right? Like, everyone else, when he first started, you probably heard about it. His first year on the team, he went out there and played like crap. Didn't play very well. Didn't do great. So that summer, when everyone else was taking off, he spent in the gym, and he had to get uncomfortable saying every day, instead of doing what everybody else is doing, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to run. I'm going to run. I'm going to run. And then the next year he outran everybody because he got uncomfortable enough to get good. And that's where success comes in everything. Vets, right? We get uncomfortable. If we can get uncomfortable and say, you know what? I don't care of a stigma. I'm going to go talk to somebody. Growth is going to happen. I don't care if I'm on a job and I'm comfortable where I'm at. If I can get uncomfortable and maybe go into work a little earlier, get out work later, work harder, guess what? I'm going to grow and be more successful. That's where it comes down to.
Yeah, and I love it, because it is a true thing,
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable gives a lot of appreciation. It just brings awareness. I mean, there's just so much there, you know what I mean? I could attest for myself, I've been there, and it makes, uncomfortable is having to go sit there and be in front of a psych and have to tell them, and I found myself holding back the first couple of times and not just going out and just, because then when I really gave them they're like, holy shit, like, because there's just so much, there's so much stuff that I really wasn't ready to be uncomfortable with.
Yep.
But man, when you said this uncomfortable thing, it really resonates with me a lot, because I think for me, that's when the turnaround point was for me, is when I finally went in there and just made myself super uncomfortable.
Yep.
And told her, it was a lady. I told her everything, every single thing I was feeling and things that were going through my head, ways that my body would react to stuff, all those kind of things. And that I think was a changing point for me, though.
Yeah.
Another thing is I had to admit being a bad, not doing great with my first two older kids, and that was uncomfortable, having to admit that.
Yeah.
But, man, doing the uncomfortable thing, though, brings you to a level where you want to get yourself to a comfortable level, so you want to get out of that,
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you ever heard of, I'm sure you heard David Goggins, right? I mean, the dude's a beast. He talks about that uncomfortability all the time. Like, I'm uncomfortable, but that's where I want to be. I want to stay uncomfortable, because what that's going to do is drive me, right? When everyone else is sleeping at 4:30 in the morning, I'm out there running, and that's me being uncomfortable, and they're comfortable in their bed. Because who's going to win the race? Me, because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. And gosh, damn, bro. Like, exactly. That goes with fitness. That goes with everything.
Yeah.
To put yourself in get yourself fit, which I can use it myself.
We all can.
You got to get yourself uncomfortable. You got to get up. You got to go work. I don't got time. You got to make time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's our excuse. We're just, we always got an excuse as to why we can't do something that we can do.
Yeah.
But we're out there doing things that we shouldn't be doing,
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, like I got a buddy of mine that we talked the other day, and he was telling me, man, he goes, I don't have time for anything. I don't have the money for this. I don't have this. So I asked him, and I remember hearing this somewhere. I'm a professional plagiarizer. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I get my stuff from books, other people, and I spit it out.
Right.
But I asked him, I said, if I gave you $1 million right now, but you have to die tomorrow, would you take it? He said, no. I said, okay, so time is more important than money to you, right? If I gave you $1 million right now, but you couldn't use your legs anymore, would you take it? Well, no. All right, then time is more important than your health, right? So when you look at it, time is our currency, and how you spend it. I can't tell you, man, it changed my life when I started realizing the time that I was putting towards things that didn't help me or didn't matter towards the times that did. Oh man, I mean, just driving in my car, instead of listening to music, I listen to a podcast, or I listen to an audio book, and it's changing my life. And it's getting uncomfortable because, you know what? I was used to driving and, listening to music and feeling good about it. But now, dude, that uncomfortableness of, you know what? Sometimes the book's going to call me out on some things. Sometimes someone like you on a podcast is going to say something that's going to resonate with me. And I'm like, crap. I got to admit some faults of myself. I got to admit some things I'm not doing. And that's where the growth comes.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely. I mean, and that's a thing with these podcasts, dude, is it's a good way to help break and have conversations. And there's just so much more that we can learn from watching podcasts or even books, versus these, the music industry. It just plays these like 2 sentences with a good beat. You know what I mean? What do we learn in there? You know what I mean? Besides a hook with a good beat, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, music is great and it's a great time. I love music, but to gain stuff, you're going to gain a lot more from these kinds of conversations with real people that are living real life and going through real life shit that you're actually going through. You could be sitting here at your desk or at home, just sitting here like, gosh, man, been really struggling. I'm stuck. There's part of of having these podcasts is trying to show everybody there's different communities for everybody. You could be sitting at home and feeling like you can't be a part of nothing and you're not a part of anything because, bullshit. I can attest to you that I've seen a lot of nonprofits. I've seen a lot of different podcast groups that just want to open up their to everybody and have a family and make a community out of it and just say, hey man, let's hang out. Let's talk. We don't, nowadays we got this luxury of being able to see each other and talk like we're back on the, in the Jetsons or something, we're now living in a day and age where we could actually have conversations and actually look at each other now instead of having to, talk over a phone where you can't really hear or see, see people's expressions and stuff. But, it's a great thing. And I hope when people watch these things, it starts to resonate with them and just say, hey man, gosh, damn, just because I'm not in the service anymore, that doesn't mean life stops here and I'm nothing. And I'm not any valuable to anybody, And
I bring it back to the comfortable, uncomfortable thing, man. I got to keep doing it. My buddy of mine, he retired. He got out of the Army. He went through a lot of stuff. He was just not in a good place. And I reached out to him and asked him, like, hey, why aren't you reaching out to some of these other people? Why aren't you reaching out to different, camps and like Camp Southern Ground, Zach Brown's thing, and these other camps that they got going on, or veteran, informs and support. And it came back to being uncomfortable, right? He was so comfortable being uncomfortable with his life that he didn't want to get outside of that and go pursue anything. So he had to realize, look, man, I'm comfortable being this, which is uncomfortable for myself. But once I push past that uncomfortability and go talk to somebody about it, it changes everything, right? Because like you said, what this podcast does, man, there's so many people out there that are thinking no one else is going through what they're going through, or no one else has been through what they've been through. But when they get to hear people talk about that, it's going to give them that, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to get uncomfortable and go talk to people.
Yeah, because what's crazy, bro, is everyone that we talk to, a lot of our stories are the same. So it's like you start to say, oh shit, I'm not so crazy, bro. I'm not alone.
That's right.
Like there's other people out there. Hey honey, look, there's other guys like me, like let's learn from this. There's a lot that could be learned from each other because, dude, even though that, like, I recognize, I'm aware I got PTSD, I got social anxieties, I got, this and that and the other. That doesn't mean I'm perfect right now. That doesn't mean that, I go through life perfect, but you know what? I'm more aware now.
Yeah.
And life is a lot better for me now. A lot more manageable.
Yeah.
I don't go 0 to 60 on everything that comes through me. Everything's not a travesty.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to start, weathering the right storms. And I think the best way to look at ourselves is like we're a vessel. And you want to have a strong vessel because when the storms come, you want to be able to go through those storms, man. And if you have a weak vessel, you're going to take on water. You might sink your ship. You know what I mean? So
100%, man.
And just, talking to like-minded folks, and get away from talking to people that just may not be there, or understand, because that's, I think a lot of times we go to our coworkers, we go to some of our friends that we grew up with, and we just automatically think they're going to understand what we've gone through.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be able to relate to our stories. And they're just not, man. I mean, until you strapped on the boots and tied them up or whatever and walked kind of a mile in someone's shoes, it's really hard to have those conversations with folks that don't get it.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just being able to listen, right? Being able to say, hey, look, man, I have a story too, but it's not my turn. It's your turn. Let me hear it.
Yep.
And then we can, so many people are listening to react instead of listening to listen. Right. And it's pretty amazing when you can get someone who can just wants to hear you. Let me hear what you're going through, man. I don't have to respond. I don't have to tell you my story right now. I'm here for you. Let me listen. And guess what? Next time you listen to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important that it's, I think that, that's the problem, sometimes with us as humans, as we're so caught up in what we got going on that sometimes we're not ready, or we're just not willing to listen to someone else. And we're just, we got to tell our story,
Yep.
and in that, just sometimes there's a lot of people out there, when you do that though, they just shut down.
Yep.
And now you lost that, you
Yep.
lost them going to talk.
Yep.
Now you just took off an avenue for them, one outlet, so it's important sometimes that you realize, especially when it comes to like, veterans and stuff like that, when they're ready to talk, sometimes you just got to listen,
Yep. Just shut up and listen.
Man, because the chances are a lot of times they don't want to talk.
Yep.
So if you're getting that opportunity, it's time to listen, and that's why I think it's good for when veterans talk to each other and they just, you don't have to be in the same branch, man. I mean, a lot of things that you're the Coast Guard, I'm Marines. A lot of what you've said, service connected or whatever, it relates to me as well.
Yep.
Take me out, I do the exact same thing. But put me in a restaurant, I'm wondering where the exits are. Yep. I've been to concerts, bro, and we've left.
Yeah.
Because the guy had a flip phone and it was tripping me out. Like, why has a person still got a flip phone?
Yeah.
And it just the person just fit the bill that I'm used to seeing. Not,
Yeah.
It just had. I'm alarmed, bro. I'm different now, and my mind's not there. So when I go to a place, I'm not there having as much fun as everybody else is half the time. I just can't. My mind is thinking about this, that, or the other. So I never go to anywhere 100% just having a great time in that environment. It very, very seldom. I did go to an event, which was a military event called Hero Stock. And that's where I met Barbara, and we had a great time at that event. That was probably one of the places I felt the most comfortable and the longest time.
That's good.
And it was just because the community of people that it was with, it just made me feel like I was in a comfortable spot, man. And I actually felt like it was more of a family event than it was just like me at a place like, all right, I see how big that son of a bitch is. He's number one. Like,
who am I taking out first?
Right. Like, I got that dude. All right. He's going to probably take a mug.
Like
stuff like that. But Yeah, man.
It's a thing we all go through, man. It's at different levels, right? Your level is different than my level, but there's still a camaraderie to it. There's still a balance of what we do. I mean, you've seen things I haven't seen. I've seen things you haven't seen. Together, we're still affected by those things in a lot of the same ways.
And we just have a level of understanding. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's, I understand you and you understand me. And that's the easier part. Sometimes that we feel like the people we talk to don't understand us.
Yeah.
And that's where we start feeling disconnected. And we start sheltering ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we don't feel like we connect with anybody anymore. So when you start getting around your like-minded folks, you start, whoa, yeah, bro, yeah.
Yeah. Become a mosh pit. I like it.
Yeah, man. It just gets like, yeah, bro, I haven't talked to a human being in a long time,
Yep.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, is there anything else you want to talk about before we jump off? Any last thoughts?
Man, I want to thank you first off for having me on here, dude. This is awesome. Something a platform like you have here where you're getting the conversations out there, you're letting people understand that, the more uncomfortable you get, the more you're going to grow, the better you're going to get. You gotta step outside of that zone and really, hey man, like talk to people, get to know each other, get to understand that we have the same struggles and the same outlook, and you're going to do better. I think that's amazing. So I appreciate you having me on here, man. I love it. I'm going to keep up with you, keep watching this. I'm going to push it around to as many people as I can.
Man, I appreciate you, Lance, and I really enjoyed this, man. I like I said, I've always been intrigued by the Coast Guard, and not too many Marines say they wanted to join something else, but I actually did want to join the Coast Guard. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I loved having you on, brother. Let's keep in touch, man. I got your number. Feel free to keep in touch with me, man, anytime. And we do a Wacky Wednesday show on Wednesdays. It's live. It's open panel, which is today actually. And it's just a fun time, man. We had a lot of fun on there. We like to today's like kind of a Halloween hypothetical question type thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, man. We do it at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard every Wednesday. It's just something to do and to hang out. You know what I mean? So
I'll hop on, my man.
All right, brother. Well, once again, I appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too, my man. Have a good one, guys.
All right. All right, friends and fam. Well, that wraps up another great episode. I am excited. And don't forget, guys, this is going to be your opportunity when we wrap it all up to go back, watch all the episodes, and get yourself caught up before season 2 hits. Definitely going to try to hit another 50 for season 2. We'll see. That's going to be a tall glass to fill, but we'll get at it. So hope everyone is out there killing it and having a great day. Until next time, we'll see you guys.